One good thing about having all this spare time in isolation is that it's given me a chance to catch up on films that I've missed before. I finally got around to watching Hacksaw Ridge, and I cannot believe I let such a great movie slip right by me for the past 3 years. Anyway, it might be 3 years late, but here is my review of Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge. Let's talk about it. Before we get started, I want to take a moment to tell you guys that I am planning to do more reviews from the past, because my channel, usually I talk about new movies that have come out, but now that there's no new movies coming out, it's given me a chance to go back and look at films that, I wanted to talk about for a while, but I figured this would be a great way to communicate with you guys, the fans, and see what movies that you would like me to review. So I'm giving everyone that's watching an opportunity to let the voice be heard, and if you want me to review a specific movie, maybe it's your favorite movie, maybe it's a movie that you despise, maybe it's a movie you're just curious to see how I responded to it, even if it came out in the 60s or 70s, whatever it is, put it in the comment section down below and I will try to make a review for it. You can also tweet me directly. I'll put my Twitter handle on the screen right now, so if you just tell me what it is that you would like to see me review, I will do my best to honor it. Obviously, I won't be able to honor everybody's requests, but if I get enough people asking me to do a particular movie or something, then yes, I will prioritize that. And if I do the movie that you request, I will give you guys a shout out in that video. All right, I said what I needed to say. Let's get back to the review. Hacksaw Ridge was the only Best Picture nominee of the 2017 Academy Awards, which I hadn't seen. I don't know why. I think maybe it's because war films aren't necessarily my favorite genre, so it just kind of slipped right by me, this film, for the last few years. I didn't really have an interest to watch it, but my friend and co-worker Marius was like, you need to watch this movie, you need to review it, so I finally got around to watching it the other night, and I have to say, I really enjoyed this film, and this is my first shout out. Thank you, Marius, Damien. Cheers, pal. Hacksaw Ridge tells the true life story of Desmond Davis, played in this film by Andrew Garfield, who was a World War II army medic who served in the Battle of Okinawa at Hacksaw Ridge in 1945. Desmond Davis was known as a conscientious objector, which basically means he refused to bear arms in service of his country, so he would go to war, but he wouldn't carry a gun and he refused to kill another man. He went into battle without any weapons, but after a massacre from the Japanese army at Hacksaw Ridge, his squadron were forced to retreat. However, Desmond stayed behind and helped save 75 soldiers' lives by carrying them to safety. His story was all about bravery, sticking to your convictions, and brotherhood. It was ripe for a cinematic retelling. Mel Gibson might have had his fair share of problems in the past decade, but there is no denying his ability to tell an emotional, visceral, and heroic story with such valor. Hacksaw Ridge has a little bit of everything. There's swooning romance between Desmond and his sweetheart Dorothy, who's played by Teresa Palmer. Their chemistry together is so good. Like, I was falling in love with them, falling in love with each other. They were just so good together. There's also bits of comedy in here. I was laughing a lot at Vince Vaughn's character, who is this army drill sergeant who's kind of like an apoplectic drag queen, just constantly yelling and throwing shade and insults at all his squadron. He was brilliant. The action is brutal. It's unflinching, bloody, and gory. It adds another genre to the film, horror, because there's some truly scary stuff in the battle sequences. And it also raises some interesting questions for the viewer to digest, like how can a pacifist even go to war? And is there some wiggle room in the thou shalt not kill commandment? It's a film which sparks internal debate, and I love that. As for negatives, the beginning of the film is a little bit saccharine. Like, the romance between Desmond and Dorothy is front and center, and it's nice. It gets you invested in the characters, it makes you care about them. But there's just a few moments where it just feels a little bit overly sweet. But Mel Gibson does succeed at making you feel emotionally attached to these characters before Desmond goes off to war, and you really do want him to come back to Dorothy. So it's not a big issue, but yeah, a few people will probably find it a little bit excessively sweet. It definitely has its cheesy moments as well. Like, there's a scene towards the end of the film where this entire squadron's about to go back up to Hacksaw Ridge and they're saying, nope, we gotta wait, we gotta let Desmond do his prayers. Yeah, it just feels really cheesy. But a little cheese in moderation is good for anyone. I did enjoy Mel Gibson's direction, but I did think there were a few times where he was a little bit over the top with the slow-mo technique. I mean, it's a great technique and it makes moments feel more dramatic, but if you use it too much, then it sort of takes away the specialness from the really, really big moments that really need it. But if you're using it constantly, then it kind of deflates the impact of it. So I think he could have been a bit more sparing with the slow-mo. And there's one distractingly noticeable green screen shot towards the end of this film involving a stretcher. And for a film which does such a good job of immersing you in the realism of war, this one shot completely took me out of the movie because I was just like, Ugh, that's so green screen. But those negatives are really just nitpicks. I was really invested in Hacksaw Ridge. Andrew Garfield is astoundingly good as Desmond, and much like his character of Desmond, he carries the emotional weight of this film, and he is magnificent. The sound mixing was immense. It put me right there in the battle sequences. There were moments where I was wincing and flinching because I was so absorbed. So it's time to ask those 3 questions. Firstly, would I watch this again? Yes! I'm annoyed at myself that it took me this long to sit down and give it a chance because it is so good. It is definitely one of my favorite war movies ever. Like, it might even personally be better than 1917 and Dunkirk. I was so much more emotionally attached to characters in this than, say, Dunkirk and 1917, which were, technical masterpieces. There's so much more emotion present in this one. Question number 2, am I going to recommend it for you guys? Yes, this is such an enveloping story about bravery and heroism. It's not for the faint-hearted. Like, if you don't like blood and guts and gore, then yeah, maybe skip this one. It's just a fantastic war movie. So yeah, I would recommend it. And question number 3, what score am I gonna give it out of 10? A few minor nitpicks, but it's still a very powerful film. So I'm going to give Hacksaw Ridge a score of 8.5 out of 10. There we go, guys. That was my review of Hacksaw Ridge. But as always, this is just one bloke's opinion. I want to hear from you guys. Have you seen Hacksaw Ridge? It's been out for 3 years, so I presume most of you have already. But what do you guys think of it? Do you think it is better than Dunkirk or 1917? Love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. And of course, if you guys want to request a movie for me to review, put it down there in the comment section below, or you can tweet me. I'll put my little Twitter on the screen now, but all that information is also down in the description below. If you guys haven't done so already, don't forget to click subscribe. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Garfield, and I'll see you next time.